Kia ora, welcome to Central News for Wednesday the 26th of February. I'm Anne-Marie Case-Miller. Work to repair 2 sections of Hamilton Riverbank pathways will begin in coming weeks. A section of the pathway on the CBD side between Bryce and Alma Streets has been closed since 2011 due to landslips. Hamilton City Council Parks and Open Spaces Manager Sally Sheedy explains why it's taken so long to repair the riverbank pathways.
So the riverbank is a very dynamic natural environment, and the slips that were caused were through a significant rain events, and we've had to work with engineers and get geotechnical investigations completed to understand what our options are to remedy the slips that have occurred. Some of the delays have also been caused through deployment of equipment to look into the geotechnical investigations, and they had all been tied up in Christchurch. And also we've had to talk to our key stakeholders around the remediation works we need to do. We recognise it has been a significant inconvenience to our community, and we are sorry for that, but we want to make sure we get the right solution in place.
Hamilton Lake goers are being urged to keep pets and children away from Lake Rotorua after potentially toxic algae reappeared. The Hamilton Lake is tested positive for algae, which can potentially form harmful toxins, and people are advised to keep out of the water and not allow children or animals near the lake's edge. The Campercare New Zealand Motorhome and Caravan Show comes to Mystery Creek this weekend. It's the largest show of its kind in New Zealand, and Classic Events Managing Director Michelle Connell explains why the move to Mystery Creek.
The Campercare New Zealand Motorhome and Caravan Shows moved to Mystery Creek because basically as the country's biggest motorhome show, we outgrew where we were in Claudeland. So this offers much more space, great flow, huge area for a rally, and there's just going to be lots of room to put all the new initiatives that we wanted to do in place.
In sport, and history was made at the Avanti Drome Rev Cycle Festival last Saturday as 4 course records were broken. It's the first time so many records have fallen in the festival's 9-year history. 2 records went to Bike NZ elite track riders in the Radio Sport Rev Classic, with Paddy Bevan coming in at 3 hours 23 minutes and 7 seconds for the males, and Jamie Nielsen at 2 hours 36 minutes and 30 seconds for the females. A 3-way tie saw a record made for the popular Rev 100 event with a time of 2 hours 36 minutes and 29 seconds shared by Josh Houston, Heath Lett and Peter Murphy. The final record went to up-and-coming Te Awamutu teenager Tom Medland, who at just 15 years of age set a course record for the Rev Midi with a time of 1 hour, 32 minutes and 4 seconds. Taking a look at the marine forecast now for the Waikato, a southerly is expected of 15 knots, becoming southwest of 25 knots with rough seas late on Friday. That should ease on Saturday to a southerly of 15 knots with a moderate southwest swell at all times. Raglan high tide is at 9:45 on Thursday night. Heading over to the Kaimais to Tauranga, where it will become variable of a 10 knots tonight, developing into a southwest of 20 knots late Friday and easing late Saturday to a variable of 10 knots. High tide in Tauranga is 6:10. Just ahead on Central News, the fight against the Rena wreck heats up. Welcome back to Central News. The fight over the Rena wreck is heating up as owners the Diana Shipping Company and insurers the Swedish Club have announced they'll apply for resource consent to leave the remainder of the wreck on the Astrolabe Reef. Local iwi are not pleased and have stated they will fight to have the stricken cargo ship fully removed. The Salvas say it would be too dangerous a task. Hillary spoke with local iwi representative Buddy Mikari to hear his response.
Well, of course it's dangerous. All salvage work is dangerous, but that's why salvage divers are paid such high, big numbers in terms of money, because it is dangerous work. Everybody acknowledges that. But what it means in this case is that doesn't prevent it from being removed. It just means you have to be very careful about how you do it. Now, there have been 2 safety incidents involved with the salvage in recent times. One was a gear failure, so it just meant that somebody hadn't checked the gear they were using properly. The other one, as I understand it, was a procedural failure in that they weren't following the things that they're supposed to do to keep themselves safe. So, neither of those things strike me as being out of the ordinary. These are things that were entirely preventable if the proper things had been done. And so that's what this means. You can take it away, you can take it away safely, you just won't be able to do it in a week because you've got to depend on, weather dependent, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that it can be achieved, it's just going to cost a lot of money because it's got to be done slowly.
So who do you think should pay for that?
Well, the owners and insurers, they put the damn thing on the reef, so it's their responsibility to take it away. If you crashed your car into the roundabout outside there, somebody would eventually give you a bill for taking it away.
What effect do you think that the wreck has had on the Māori of the reef?
Oh, it's having an ongoing effect. It hasn't actually stopped. It started from the moment that thing crashed into the reef and is still continuing now. And if they leave it there, there will still be a detrimental effect to the Māori of the reef. Māori is, it's like the life force of the reef, and anything foreign that's outside the pristine approach that we normally have to such things, anything that violates that is a violation of that Māori. So spiritually, the reef and our associations with it are weakened, so we're diminished as a people.
How does the Māori of the reef affect the people?
Well, it's linked to other issues for us. One of them is we have this obligation of guardianship. It's called kaitiakitanga in Māori culture, which means that we're obliged to maintain the reef in the condition that we inherited it in. So we inherited a pristine reef environment. It's our duty to pass on to the next generation the reef in the same condition. The presence of the wreck on there and who knows what in terms of its environmental impact means that we can't do that. So again, we're diminished, our mana is diminished because we can't do anything about this, but the people with the money can, and that's what we're asking them to do, do this. It's also an infringement on our rangatiratanga, The government acknowledges that we have rangatiratanga over the things that we regard as being worthwhile and precious and that we retain. The reef is one of those things. So if the government now says that, yeah, you've got rangatiratanga over that, but we're going to let these foreigners leave their mess there, it's just an abrogation of that whole principle that the government is committed to upholding under the treaty. So, we've currently got a claim before the Waitangi Tribunal on these same issues, and we're asking the tribunal to make a recommendation that the government will enforce the removal notice that was issued to the owners in 2011, 2 years ago. We found out that in the course of investigating our claim, it turned out that there were 3 confidential secret agreements signed between the owners and the government, which we're not allowed to talk about. But earlier last year, some of that information got out, and we know because it's on the public record that one of the agreements says that if the government helps the owners to obtain the resource consents to leave the wreck behind, that the owners will then pay the government an incentive fee of 10.4 million. So, these kind of things just make us go, whoa, there was nobody talked with us about that. Nobody talked with anybody else in New Zealand as far as we can see about that. How come this foreign company can do this stuff in our part of the world and just walk away by flicking the government 10 mil? It's just unbelievable. And so there's a clear breach of treaty principles as far as that's concerned.
And you will take that to the tribunal?
Well, yeah, but that'll be one of the main planks of our opposition to any resource consent. But, let's deal with one step at a time, so just go through the tribunal process first, which is to demonstrate that there has been a clear breach of the treaty. Yeah.
Coming up next on Central News, we find out how boys, toys and motorbikes can help the Child Cancer Foundation. Welcome back to Central News. The Ulysses Child Cancer Toy Run happens this Sunday, the 2nd of March, with 1,000 motorbikes expected to ride from Cambridge to Hamilton with a toy on board. I spoke with Business Development and Fundraising Manager for the Waikato Child Cancer Organisation, Sharon Robertson, to find out how many years the toy run has been happening.
Well, everyone meets about 10:30 by Victoria Park in Cambridge. All the bikes will be there. There will be a bit of a demonstration. Then the children from the Child Cancer Foundation, children from Waikato, will arrive on a bus, a Go bus donated. They come in from Hamilton. They get off. They get all their helmets on. They're given to each rider. Some will go in side carts, some will go on the back of the bikes, and then they all head off and head for Hamilton.
What does this day mean to the children and families who are living with cancer?
Oh, it means so much. It's a highlight of their calendar. They have so much fun. It's something they can't normally do. They get to forget about all their cares and their woes and all the treatment they've been through, and they can just have fun. The smiles on the faces of the kids is absolutely incredible to watch and see.
Can anyone with a motorbike join the toy run?
Yes, definitely. Yes, we love people just to come along, join in.
What do they need to bring?
Well, just their helmet, their bike, and if they've got any spare money in their pocket, we're very happy to take that from them.
Now, people who want to donate toys can drop them off at Honda Hamilton in Willoughby Street. Do you just want toys, or can people donate money as well?
Yes, definitely. The toys is wonderful. We do ask for clean, preferably new toys, but a cash donation goes a lot way. Well, we can do a lot more with it. We can give the families exactly what they need. A lot of the children do get a lot of toys given to them, even though it is lovely, the whole concept is fantastic, but money is always our preferred option. A virtual toy, we're calling it this year.
How are the funds raised used?
They're used for our Waikato families. It's very important for you all to know that this money does stay in the Waikato. It's used for anything the families need. Some need gift vouchers. When I say gift vouchers, I mean food vouchers, because when they go up to Starship, they're running 2 households. Also mobile phone top-ups, because everyone wants to know what's going on with the children when they're sick, and that's a huge cost to the families. Petrol vouchers just to get them up there. We also run camps for the children and information evenings for the parents. We have literature printed because there's so many different kinds of cancer, and to put it in plain language so the parents can understand. There is the Beads of Courage also. The children get a bead for every treatment or procedure they have. On average, it's $500 a child a year for those beads. So there's so many things the money goes towards, and we have holiday houses for the families as well. So it's to help them get to Queenstown or to Rotorua for the new holiday house we're getting there. And so they can have a week away with no expense to them, because it's something they just can't afford.
The online drinking game Neck Nominate has gained media attention as many participants have ended up in emergency departments with alcohol poisoning. Hillary spoke with a local alcohol action advocate about whether the competitive element of the drinking game opens up a whole new can of worms when it comes to binge drinking.
Well, I mean, a lot of people like competition, and I think the can of worms you're talking about is risk-taking. So younger people are more likely to take risks. So if you bring in a competitive element, then the risk-taking can become more intense, because under the conditions of competition, people try harder, and they're all trying to outdo each other. So yeah, I think it adds more risk.
Binge drinking, we all know, is a problem in New Zealand. Is there an answer?
Well, yes, there is. There's a World Health Organisation evidence-based answer, and that involves a 5+ solution. First of all, you increase the price of alcohol, excise tax, increase the drinking age, reduce availability of alcohol, and definitely reduce alcohol advertising, increase drink driving countermeasures, and also increase treatment opportunities for people who are having difficulties with alcohol. And those measures have been studied around the world. We do know that they would have an impact in New Zealand. Unfortunately, our recent alcohol law reform bill hasn't included those measures, although there is in Parliament a bill to reduce the drink driving blood alcohol limit, which I fully support.
How much is that?
I have heard anecdotally that we drink enough to fill Lake Tekapo every year, but we do know that 25% of New Zealanders are drinking outside low-risk guidelines, which are less than 14 standard drinks a week and less than 4 standard drinks at any one time. So NEC Nominate goes well beyond that. But in actual fact, 25% of New Zealanders are risking cancer, depression, heart disease, suicide through their drinking. Possibly because they don't regard it as a high-risk drug and they're not aware of the potential damage.
And you talk about alcohol being a drug?
Yeah, it's a high-risk drug. It would be a Class B equivalent drug, which would be equivalent to morphine or amphetamine if it was classified under the Misuse of Drugs Act, and there is a medical paper that says that. So if you take a high dose of alcohol, you have the same risk of something bad happening to you as if you were taking methamphetamine, and that's safety studies done in the past. So yeah, alcohol is a high-risk drug. It causes death, addiction, suicide, violence. There's 70,000 sexual and violent assaults per annum. There's up to 3,000 fetal alcohol syndrome babies, brain damaged babies per year. Massive amount of harm, not to mention 25 billion in social costs per annum.
Is there then a way that we can drink safely?
Yeah, you can drink at low risk to yourself. As I said, the low risk guidelines, less than 4 drinks at one time, no more than 14 a week. And alcohol is a pleasurable thing to take, and if you just drink within those guidelines, you shouldn't really have too many health problems. Bear in mind though that if you drink 2 standard drinks a day, which would be within the guidelines, you will increase your chance of cancer, prostate and breast.
After the break, the changes to the University of Waikato O Week. Welcome back to Central News. Orientation activities got underway at the University of Waikato today with a pōwhiri at Te Kohenga Marama Marae to mark the beginning of the academic year. I recently spoke with international student advisor Hui Vu to find out what else is in store for students during O Week.
So the week before classes start is a chance for students to firstly move into the halls or find a flat. Tuesdays prior to the commencement of class is Halls Move-In Day. So we have hundreds of students from all over the country, in fact all over the world, moving in on that Tuesday. Followed by that we have a marae pōwhiri for the students at our university campus marae, Te Kohenga Marama, and at that pōwhiri we welcome all new students, international, domestic, and their families onto the campus as well. Academic orientation is really about giving students the best start they can to their studies. There will be fun activities during orientation week, but during academic orientation week students have the chance to enrol into their classes, choose their papers, attend faculty seminars and orientations, which tell them a little bit about how they're going to start their studies and what really their studies will end up giving them. There will also be international orientation during that week for all of our new international intake as well.
There are lots of activities planned for this week. Tell me about the amazing race for international students.
Yeah, well, it's not a concept that we made up ourselves, obviously. Phil Kogan gets credit for that, but he is a Kiwi, so we've stolen it kind of and wrapped it in around our university. So as far as I know, I think it's unique to the University of Waikato as far as tertiary providers in New Zealand goes. All new international students, so of which there will be about 150, I would say, participate in the Amazing Race, get into groups of about 4 to 6, and they navigate their way around campus to different checkpoints and detours, participate in activities, challenges to get their race passport clipped, and the winning team is produced or given prizes for winning, and we have prizes for second and third as well. So that happens in the week prior to the commencement of class, and it's a pretty hellish hour.
There are lots of tours around the university as well, not just activities, such as the library tour and the faculty tours.
Yeah, there's tours to get students acclimatised, so if you want to get to be familiar with the library, there are 2 daily tours running from the week prior to classes starting, right through until 2 weeks into class, so make sure students can catch those. There's also tours of faculties, as you said. So the faculty tours will be running at different time slots as well, just a chance for students to get to understand how the letters and numbers work for them to get to class.
How important is orientation to a new student?
Orientation gives the students the best opportunity to put their best foot forward and get underway with their studies in the best way. So students that don't attend orientation, I feel, may be disadvantaging themselves in some way. So definitely with the academic orientation week, we try and use it as a booster for students so that they can hit their studies running and are familiar with the campus, Hamilton and the Waikato region.
Taking a look at the weather now. Heading to the Waikato first, Hamilton has a sunny day in store tomorrow. Plenty of sunscreen required with a high of 28 degrees and an overnight low of 12. Pāroa, a fine day expected with a high of 26 down to a low of 13. Matamata, 25 is your high for Thursday. And Te Awamutu, a warm, fine Thursday in store, 28 degrees expected. Tokoroa, mainly fine with a shower or 2 later and a high of 25 degrees, down to 10 overnight. Heading to the Bay of Plenty, and Tauranga has a mainly fine day expected for Thursday, a few showers appearing later in the day and a high of 25 degrees. Te Puke, fine spells with scattered afternoon and evening showers and a high of 24 degrees, down to 13 overnight. And that's Central News for today. Make sure you like us on Facebook and let us know your views. Thanks for joining me. I'm Anne-Marie Case-Miller. Ka kite anō.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.